Welcome to the regular town council meeting.
We need the gavel.
I don't have the gavel.
Please be quiet. Please settle down.
Welcome to the regular town council meeting of March 12th, 2024. We're going to open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please.
Chairperson Phillips.
Present.
Councilor Sims. Councilor Wilder-Cross.
Present.
Councilor Pratt.
Present.
Councilor Gagnon.
Present.
Councilor Lavoy.
Present.
Councilor Siegel.
Present.
And now we'll move on to the acceptance of the minutes of the February 6th, the regular town council meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Pratt. Is there a second by Councilor Wilder-Cross? Any changes, comments on the minutes? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? 7 yeas. Now we're going to open public communications. This is a time to address the council about items that are not on the agenda tonight. And we're going to do a 3-minute time limit for people who want to come up and speak. Just state your name and where you're from. And we will be, for items that are on the agenda, we will be giving a chance for people to speak during that item. All right, we have a room full, but I don't see anyone getting up to speak, so. All right, we'll move on to councilor communications. Councilor Siegel, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair. First, I'd like to begin by making some rumors clear. I am running for state rep in District 109, so that's official. And yes, it's really happening. Thank you. Cool, we got that out of the way. The ordinance committee met, and we are continuing to discuss economic development, as well as a whole host of, road standards. We talked about backlot provisions. We'll be touching on many small items at the next meeting, which you can find on the planning section of, or the town council section of the Gorham website. We had quite a few members of the public, so public is totally welcome and even sometimes offered input. Saw Radium Girls at the Gorham High School. It was awesome, and then they got first place at regionals, which is stellar, so good luck to the entire cast and crew in setting up in, I think it was like 5 minutes setup and teardown, so that was awesome, good luck. And I want to thank Councilor Lavoy for suggesting I watch the state championships, the basketball games. I had the baby monitor right next to the live stream, and I thought both the boys and the girls played stellar, and it was totally awesome to watch. So thank you, Councilor Lavoy, for the suggestion, and good job teams, even though it wasn't a win. I think it was still incredibly good playing. Those are all the communications I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Lavoy.
Thank you. So first I want to make the public know that Gorham will be hosting its, I want to say 5th annual Gorham Cleans Up. And this will be on Earth Day weekend, Sunday, April 21st from 8:30 to 11. This is co-hosted by Gorham Conservation Commission and the Village, Gorham Village Alliance. So if you want to participate or learn more about this event, it's basically where residents will go around, we'll pick different streets at different times and just help clean up the trash, and Public Works is there to help us remove all the trash and keep our streets nice and clean. So reach out to Conservation Commission or Gorham Village Alliance for more information. And then also I would like to congratulate both Gorham varsity girls and boys for reaching the state finals. Unfortunately, it wasn't the result we were all expecting, but I'm very proud of both teams, as well as our indoor track team for the results they posted at the state meet. And of course, we'll hear about these wonderful students in a little bit. That's it.
Thank you. Councilor Sims.
Nothing today.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Pratt.
I wanted to congratulate all our winter sports teams, especially Luke Burns, who won states for wrestling this season. He had over 100 career wins so far, which is amazing because he missed a year due to COVID of wrestling. And if anybody knows that, that's like, I don't know, 4-peating in the state championship in basketball, basically. So, anyways, yeah. And as always, please donate blood. The blood banks are extremely short-handed right now, or short storage, I guess I should say. So please donate. There's a great app. Just look on your app, on your phone, pull the app up. It'll tell you where the blood drives are. And yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, first off, I want to add my accolades to our talented students. They make me really happy to live in the town of Gorham. I brag about all of you folks all the time. We have students that have achieved honors in academics. We have students who have achieved in theater. We have students who have achieved in athletics. We have robotics kids who understand way more than I'll ever understand about how to make these amazing things do things. It's wonderful. And by the way, this weekend is the Gorham High School robotics team competition. The Pine Tree State competition is going to be in Lewiston, and I will be there cheering on those kids because my grandson is in that. But also, kudos to the teachers, to the mentors, for parents, for anybody who stands behind, drives our young people back and forth to all of their practices and helps in every way they can, because that's why these kids do well. And without our parents, without our teachers, without our other mentors, that wouldn't be happening. So thank you to those folks too. On to business. That's business, but other business, less exciting. I did attend the March Metro Regional GP-COG meeting, such a mouthful. And as it has been in recent months, it focused on housing issues, most specifically some advances that have been made by the Housing First initiative. It's sponsored by Preble Street and A Vista Housing. And we all saw all of the encampments and the problems that City of Portland had mostly. But homelessness isn't only in Portland. Today's meeting for the GP-COG continued that discussion. And one of the things that I found particularly interesting is the fact that law enforcement has to work together with those agencies that serve the homelessness so that they're not putting people in prison who really don't belong in prison but do need help. And it was an interesting presentation. I was glad I was there to hear it. And back to that general assistance that I keep bringing up every single month, that's still floating around in the legislature. The hope is that the proposal will bring the general assistance amount up to 90% that would be reimbursed to the town for what the town has to, by law, provide in general assistance. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the SIPS meeting met this month. We discussed different master plans for different areas of the town. We also discussed some economic development topics as well. Also a reminder, since daylight savings time happened, to replace the batteries in your fire alarms, and if you haven't already, change your clocks.
I just wanted to mention and recognize the passing of Nancy Kenty. She was an election worker for several years for the town of Gorham. She was also a member of the Gorham Historical Society and on the library board of trustees for many years. So I just wanted to recognize Nancy and her fine work that she has done for the town of Gorham. And I'm going to move on to the town manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In no particular order, I just, in the interest of time tonight, wanted to throw out some dates. So everyone is aware of the Gorham Connector project for the Main Turnpike. If you're not aware, please become aware. We'll be coming to Gorham in many years, but the planning process takes a couple years. That being said, the Main Turnpike Authority is having its first public input session. So this is the first time that the public can comment on the project and learn about the project. That date, the first session will be March 25th. It's going to be here in Gorham. In Shaw Gym. starting at 4:30 p.m., ending around 6. Turnpike's going to have dozens of people here. We're expecting a large crowd, and if you want to learn about that project or provide input on any part of that project, please show up at that date and time. There's also information on the Turnpike's website, and I think an ability to submit public comment that way if you're interested. This town's budget process will be kicking off with the council reviewing the town budget on April 13th. On the 23rd, the town council will be having a workshop on the school budget, and if I get any of these dates wrong from the school committee, please let me know. And on May 14th, we'll be having, like we did last year, the public hearing and the votes on the school and municipal budgets a little earlier than in past years. Last thing I wanted to mention, I have never been able to do this as my tenure as a municipal employee. We have a town employee who has served the town faithfully for 50 years, leads an amazing group of individuals down in public safety. So tonight, we just wanted to recognize Chief Fickett, not his age, but his service to the town. Hard to believe he has been with the Gorham Fire Department for 50 years. So. So Chief Fickett hates recognition, so if you want to give him another round of applause, we'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep, really.
Thank you, Chief. And thank you. That's all I have this evening.
We'll move on to the school committee report.
Hi, everybody. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Sarah Perkins, chair of the school committee. Couple of things, although you stole a lot of my thunder, so I'll just say that up front. Budget, we've completed 2 budget meetings so far, the recordings for which are on the website. You each have a copy of the initial budget booklet, and feel free to use the Q&A document that came with it if you have any additional questions. We did also put in answers from the initial questions a couple months ago when we met. Coming up, our future meetings every Monday, so March 18th, March 25th, and April 1st, all at 7 o'clock upstairs, all open to the public. And a big thank you, another recognition for the fire department, I guess. Sorry for the double recognition in one night. But thank you to our friends at the Gorham PD and Fire Department for their help in recognizing our student athletes in the past few weeks. Where both seasons ended as state runners-up, the police and fire escorts home from the Southern Regional Championship and out of town on Saturday night were amazing and really showed our students how much the community values their hard work and dedication, so thank you. We did also want to update you on our accreditation process. A team of educational professionals from around New England is interviewing the high school students, staff, parents, and others this week as part of our NEASC accreditation. This process helps ensure that the high school continues to provide high-quality education. More information can be found in the recording of our February 28th workshop meeting, and we hope to have an initial report later this year. We continue to be in desperate need of substitutes in our schools. To that end, we're offering another set of 3 classes to help those interested become more familiar with the role. The dates are coming up Monday, April 29th, Tuesday, April 30th, and Monday, May 6th. Reach out to Gorham Adult Ed for anyone that's interested. We are also greatly in need of substitute nurses, so please reach out if that's something that's of interest to anyone. And finally, congratulations to the high school theater group on their first place finish in the Regional One Act Festival for Radium Girl. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing number 1 on item 2024 3-1. Public hearing to hear comments on a proposal to issue.
Hold on one second. I think I would like to ask if the council would entertain a motion to take an item out of order.
You stole the words out of my mouth,
Okay.
yes. Thank you.
All right, so we were gonna do item, hold on, we gotta flip through a bunch of pages here.
It's 2433 or 2024-3-2. The action to consider
All
adopting a
right, so
resolution.
is there a motion?
So moved.
Yep, all right, second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of taking this item out of order? 7 yeas.
Okay. Item 2024 3-2, action to consider adopting a resolution in recognition of Gorham High School's Mamma Mia production. Councilor Segal sponsored. Proposed order 24-33, order that the town council formally adopts the following resolution in recognition of Gorham High School's production of Mamma Mia as follows. Resolution of the Gorham Town Council recognizing the performance of Gorham High School's production of Mamma Mia. Whereas the Gorham Town Council recognizes the arts as a vital and enriching segment of children's well-rounded education. And whereas the arts education teachers at Gorham High School and in the Gorham School District continue to strive for educational excellence in artistic literacy for their students. And whereas the support should be given to art teachers and students to strengthen performing art programs in the Gorham schools and community. And whereas every chance given, art education provides to every child valuable benefits of developing students' creativity through problem-solving and critical thinking abilities, and interrelates students' learning in arts processes of creation, production, performance, and presentation. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gorham Town Council does hereby express its appreciation to Gorham School's arts educators and the 37 cast and crew members of the Mamma Mia musical, held in February of 2024, for their efforts with their production that promotes and nurtures excellence in education and brings the community together, done this 12th day of March 2024.
Is there a motion on the item? Motion by Councilor Segal. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Wilder Cross. All right.
All right. The whereases get a little confusing, but I put this resolution in because it was an incredible performance, absolutely incredible, and my understanding was it was a new record for the amount of people that would attend a show, and I mean, every ticket sold, they're offsetting the taxpayers with these great shows and great performances, and so it was just great from start to end, and we're competing with Super Bowl day, and you still had over 600 people, so it's incredible, and I wanted to make it known. We also have the resolution printed up for each one of the cast and crew as well, so that you can remember how awesome you did. So, thank you.
Any other discussion?
I think we all
Yeah.
said it before this happened, but yeah, I echo your words. And probably should have added the other performances as well, because they all deserve the same kind of recognition. But that show was phenomenal. I'm a Mamma Mia person. I'm the right age for that.
All right. Thank you very much. Do you want to?
I'll take a
Okay.
We
Yep.
can vote on it.
Yep. Well, all right, we're ready to vote on this. All those in favor? 7 yeas. And the town manager will deliver the copies. So now we can go back to the beginning, sorry.
Public hearing number 1 on item 2024 3-1. Public hearing to hear comments on a proposal to issue a renewal medical marijuana license to Tana Brown, Threshold LLC, 11E Gorham Industrial Parkway. Property owned by 11E Gorham Industrial Parkway LLC, administrator sponsored.
All right, public hearing number 1 is now open. If anyone would like to speak on this item, please come to the podium.
Are you saying you
That's what
can't hear
I
us?
was wondering. if-
Okay.
I asked him to turn it up.
Okay.
You gotta get closer to the mic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cindy. All right, seeing no one for public comment, public hearing is closed.
Proposed order 24-31, order that the town council issue a renewal medical marijuana license to Tana Brown, Threshold LLC, 11E Gorham Industrial Parkway, property owned by 11E Gorham Industrial Parkway.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Lavoy, is there a second? Second by Councilor Pratt. Any discussion on this item?
Everything passes muster.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, all those in favor? 7 yeas.
Public hearing number 2 on item 2022 8-2. Public hearing to hear comments on a proposal to amend the Land Use and Development Code to add a new pedestrian overlay district and proposed amendments to existing ordinance sections to include pedestrian sidewalk standards, administrator sponsored.
All right, public hearing number 2 is now open. If anyone would like to speak on this item, come to the podium and give your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, public hearing is closed.
Proposed order 24-32, order that the town council amend the Land Use and Development Code to add a new pedestrian overlay district and amend existing ordinance sections to include pedestrian sidewalk standards as follows.
Council Chair,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to waive the reading due to its length.
All right, is there a second? Second by Counselor Wilder Cross. All those in favor of waiving the reading? 7 yeas. All right, and on to the item. I'm going to ask the town manager to order. Yep.
Point of order. I realized I made an awful miscalculation and I didn't ask for a photograph with the,
Do you-
isn't
oh.
one now there?
Yeah,
You
there
lost
you go.
it.
Asked.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Cindy. All right,
Sorry.
is there a motion on the item before the town manager
So-
talks? All right,
so moved.
motion by Counselor Pratt. By Counselor Wilder Cross. All right, now you can talk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This has been at the Ordinance Committee and then the Planning Board for a while, and I think initially where this started was looking at our pedestrian network, more specifically our sidewalk commitments. Where does that network go? How big should it be? Where should that investment be? And then what should be charged and what should be required for investment by private development outside of that network? So what came back out of the Ordinance Committee and the Planning Board was creating an overlay that identified where the existing networks were, where that zone that you had to commit to or connect to was. And just like we did, the council amended the ordinance, I want to say like 5 or 6 years ago, to allow for payment in lieu of building the infrastructure. That would still remain in there, and we have finished several projects with private contributions. But I think overall it's an attempt to narrow down where that focus of investment in pedestrian infrastructure is, but still requiring it, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, questions?
I just
Yep.
have a question.
Yep.
B, establishment of zones. It's right near the beginning on our second page. Holy cow, I'm yelling. I just have a question about the acronym. It says the purpose of the pedestrian overlay district, and then it's PED, and I'm wondering why it isn't POD. I know that's a dumb question, but I just need an answer.
It's likely spell check or something like that, and I think we could fix it. And I also don't even know why we need that.
Okay.
Ernie put it in there or somebody.
So it's throughout the report. It refers to it throughout the report.
If the council's okay with it, we can resolve that when we will be bringing back to the council the entire codification of our ordinances. So like where we're striking out gender references or making things more consolidated, we'll just have them clean that up at that time unless you want to amend it this evening. I think we could.
I just want to
easily
make sure
fix
it's caught, if indeed it should be POD. Okay.
that. We could resolve it one way or another.
And I just had one other question, and I should know the answer to this, and I don't. When we get to number 5, we have A, B, C, and B is eliminated. So the next one would be B, correct? And then so on and so forth. Those numbers would all change.
Correct. They will be, when they are inputted into the land use code, reordered.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Any other questions?
I had one.
Yep.
So on exceptions, section 126C, one lot private ways shall be exempt from these requirements. Does that include commercial?
If it were a one-lot private way, yes.
It would?
Yeah, if
Okay.
it were a commercial most of our one-lot private ways are residential. I would say the vast majority.
But
if
I'm
not
just
all.
thinking, if one business wants to go in and it's 3/4 of a mile from the nearest sidewalk, I don't want them to have to pay in lieu of taxes to get
Yeah.
in lieu of payment.
As written, if it fell under a one lot private way, which I think would not be super common.
Right.
But if it did, it would be exempted as written.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Councilor Kane?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So under Section 1-9 Village Centers District, pedestrian relationships and facilities, the entirety of the paragraph is struck. Part of it just details the area in which the development would occur and be aesthetically significant to others in relation. Is that readdressed anywhere else, or is that we just not going for common aesthetics?
Thank you. I believe it will be readdressed and is addressed under the capability of the planning board. Where it's addressed for site plan review would be the last line under chapter 4, last page, on pedestrian relationships and facilities. I think that that's generally pretty broad, and either at the staff level or the planning board level, they could put those requirements in. I think the meat and potatoes, what we're trying to get at is not what they look like, because that'll happen anyway. It's, should they be built, where should they be built, and how much does a private developer contribute to it based on the relationship to the network.
And actually, I do have
Yep.
we got some input. We got some input from residents as well, asking some questions, raising some concerns about the number of places where the term pedestrian is crossed out. But I think it's worth perhaps a way to clarify. At the start of this, the revisions, there's the section 126, which basically outlines the code for the overlay district, which captures parts of the village commercial zone and the other zones that are within that district line. So it's getting removed from the zone-specific section, but it's the new language applies to any zones that fall within the overlay lines.
Correct, yep. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? 7 yeas.
Item 2024-3-3, action to consider adopting a new Roby Park master plan, Councilor Phillips sponsored. Proposed Order 24-34, order that the Town Council adopts the proposed Roby Park master plan as recommended by the Roby Park Steering Committee.
All right, is there a motion on this item? Motion by Councilor Gagnon. Is there a second by Councilor Pratt?
Hello.
We're going to have a little presentation done first by the architects that did the project for us, so we're going to do that first. So.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Aceto with Aceto Landscape Architects, and I'm here with Grace McNeil this evening. I'd like to start by outlining the process and how we've arrived at this master plan. We've worked in close collaboration with the Roby Park Steering Committee, which has been wonderful. And we've really made this a process that's driven by community involvement, surveys and opportunities for the community to weigh in on the process in different ways. So to go quickly through the ways in which we've arrived at this plan, January 30th, 2023, there was a survey that folks could access on the internet. We were then given that data prior to the project starting so that we could use that to inform our initial design. We held a design charrette on July 12th where we had tables, where we had outbreak tables and base maps, and folks could write their desires and things they wanted to see, things they did not want to see. We then took that information and further developed the base maps. We attended a Thursday night food truck event in August, and we wanted to make sure we captured a broad spectrum of the community, so we also attended a farmer's market on a Saturday as well. So in addition to that, we continued to develop the plans. We posted them with survey questions to hone in on final programmatic elements. And the way in which we decided on certain elements where we provided questions such as, we've heard you want a basketball court, how many do you want? Like, do you want one or do you want two? And we put that to a vote, and we let the community voice dictate how that would look on the plan. So the plan that we'll be presenting is a culmination of all these outreach techniques, what we heard, and voting processes to make sure that the majority ruled and that what we were showing is what the majority of the community wanted to see. So I'll turn it over to Grace from here.
Hi, everyone. So this is the final master plan that we came up with. It is the culmination of all the processes Caitlin just described, and contains all of the wants that we heard from the Gorham community. Just do a quick overview of the elements within the plan. We have a loop path that goes around the edge of the site, some upgraded play spaces for toddlers and older kids, 2 basketball courts, an upgraded community garden, welcome areas, nature play spaces, and a bike skills area, amongst other things. Here is a quick diagram that we created to show the proposed versus existing vegetation, because that's something we heard that the people in Gorham were very interested in, was making sure that lots of the trees stayed on the site, and we agree with that. So you can see highlighted in this green, this is the existing vegetation, the pine trees that buffer the edge of the site, and the yellow is all proposed revegetation. We imagine most of these revegetation areas mirroring the existing vegetation, so using white pines and oaks. And then we imagine these aloes and other smaller trees on the site being comprised of pin oaks or other acidic soil-tolerant deciduous native trees. The revegetation will also include undergrowth like ferns and blueberry bushes, which are all native. So now we can take a look at some perspective images. This is a bird's eye view of along Access Road, looking east towards the play areas, and you can see each perspective image will have a little site plan up here just to give you some more context about where we're looking. This is the Ballpark Road entrance. We imagine some structures being present here, like perhaps a giant abstract map of the town of Gorham that also doubles as a seating element, and then some educational signage that explains maybe the history of Roby Park. Here is the 5 to 12-year-old play area, kind of central to the site. We've got boulders for alternative play. Over here is the start of the loop path that will take you around the entire site. We're picturing maybe some playground safety material that allows for safe and free play, a climbing structure for older kids, and then a central pathway that leads you from the Ballpark Ave entrance area through the play area to the nature path. Here's the nature play area and water feature. Again, this is that central path that cuts through the play areas. We've got some elements like balancing logs, and in this back nature play area, boulders that continue on the slope down into the water feature in the play area. And then a wide slide here allows for people of varying abilities to enjoy it. And then a variety of swing types like traditional swings, but also bird nest swings that also allow people with varying physical abilities to also use the swings. And then this pathway that goes up to the slide would be ADA accessible, so it would be less than 5% slope. So the 2 to 5-year-old play area, just across the path from the older kids play area. Here would be a variety of play elements that allow children to explore sound, movement, and balance. Some play structures with ramps that are for universal access, and it would be adjacent to covered movable seating that gives parents a safe and comfortable spot to watch their kids. This is the proposed community garden and pergola. Raised beds here allow for universal access, and we're imagining movable seating under this pergola that allows for flexibility of arrangements. And we're picturing some stone dust or maybe a porous material on the ground here that is still accessible. This is the Morrill Ave entrance, so the top right side of the park. Again, very similar to the other entrance with some interesting furniture structures that double as signage or historical information, and then an open lawn space here, and then keeping the high school beehives similar to the spot where they were before, but just creating a new enclosure for them. And then this is a screenshot of the loop path, showing some of the undergrowth that we're thinking, like ferns and blueberries, and then maybe some plant ID signage that allows for a bit of an educational aspect. And this path would widen a little bit here to allow for some seating. Maybe they are swinging benches that kind of create a comfortable, relaxing space. And similar to the garden area, would be a stone dust surface that is comfortable, porous, but also accessible. And here's the bike skills area, pretty simple, just a couple for a space for smaller kids to practice their bike skills. And then here are the basketball courts. You can see in the background the existing baseball field, and these courts would not have to be just for basketball, but they are just two large paved surfaces for ball courts. Could be used for yoga, pickleball, basketball, you name it. You can see the existing maintenance building in the background here. And again, this native undergrowth planting, and then a trail connection to the bike trail that's just adjacent across the parking lot from Ruby Park. And we're also picturing some bike parking here as well. And finally, here's a bird's eye view from the node along Access Road, looking northwest towards the sports area. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Does council have any questions, comments?
I want to thank the people who worked so hard on this. I did attend many of the meetings, and they were meetings that it was so fun to see industry happening, people working together, ideas coming up, and actually following through on things. Mm-hmm. Congratulations to the whole committee and also Phil for chairing that committee. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the more unpleasant things that a town manager has to do is manage expectations. And I also want to thank everyone involved, but I also want to point out that for anybody watching, this does not mean that this will be implemented tomorrow. And this will be this is a master plan that governs the whole park, and it's something that the town can now phase in components of that as funding becomes available, donations, things like that. So we won't get there overnight, but we'll eventually get there, and we've seen this at other facilities in the town. As funding becomes available, we invest in it according to the master plan. So just wanted to point that out and manage those expectations. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
It was a nice year of very good discussion amongst people, and I wanted to say thank you to Aceto Landscaping for the wonderful job that they did putting this together. I would not want their job ever in having all these people come and give their many ideas that they had. The sticky notes were a highlight for me. Some people were adamant they didn't like certain things, and other people were adamant that they liked those same ideas. So it was a great overall process, and I appreciate you and what you both have done. So thank you.
Thank you, Phil, and the rest of the committee as well. It has been, we left the process really excited about the dialogue, and it made the plan that much better, so thank you.
I have just one quick question, please. When we're talking about money, I think that it would be okay if anybody wants to contribute something toward this. I believe would be open to that. If a company wanted to take on one of those sections of the park, I think we would be open to a conversation about that. So just wanted to mention.
Yeah.
Councilor Simon.
Yeah, and I just add, really commend the consultants for the work. It's the vision you've displayed there. It really looks beautiful, and I think enhanced placemaking down in the village is a smart investment for the town, and I think that the phased approach makes sense from a financial perspective. But I'd be eager to see some of this start to become realized sooner than later. So as Councilor Wilder-Cross said, let's do what we can to seek some support for that.
Thank you. And thank you to the committee, to the consultants, and to Councilor Shepherd, I see him in the audience,
Yes.
for their work on this committee. So thank you I enjoy the end result. And I've already had many conversations. Someone asked me if people could maybe start a program to purchase trees, and dedicated trees to either family members and things like that. So all these things are going to be coming forward, so. Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? 7 yeas. Thank you again, thank you.
Item 2024-3-4, action to consider the 2024-2025 board and committee appointments. Appointments committee sponsored. Proposed order 24-35, order that the town council make appointments to various town board and committees as recommended by the appointments committee at their meeting March 7th, 2024. So we have Barbara Nichols, Rob Delaney for the planning board, Sarah Jackson, Chris Kelly, Jim Anderson for the GEDC, Dan Nichols, Powell Binzik for the Board of Appeals, Daniel Dwyer for Fair Hearing Board, Ernie Wells, Drew Strange, Molly Butler Bailey for the Conservation Commission, Diane Caswell and Deborah Arcaro for the Board of Trustees Bax Memorial Library, Tyler Gowan, Marcia Weeks Trail for the Historic Preservation Commission, Robert Cook for the Board of Assessment Review, Nick Smith, Christine Dyke for Revolving Loan Fund Committee, and Edward Bender for the Board of Health.
Been moved by Councilor Siegel, is there a second? Second by Councilor Pratt.
Madam Chair, hold on.
Yep.
Our TV feed looks like it's out at the moment.
Oh, okay. We'll pause for a second here.
There it is.
Go, never mind.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Thing.
I didn't want people to think we were...
Yep, no, it's fine. They can probably hear us, just not see us. All right, so I don't know if Councilor Siegel, if you want to talk about the appointments or?
Yeah, you all are going to hear something I've said before. We had a bunch of awesome candidates, really, really just amazing people, and I'm sad we can't get them all on committees. Honestly, every single one that we interviewed was super experienced, especially with relevant experience, and was really, really wanting to do what they can to support Gorham. So I think all of these people are great, and we should put them on.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? 7 yeas.
Item 2024-3-5, action to consider formally becoming a member community of Greater Portland Metro, Councilor Wilder-Cross sponsored. Proposed order 2436, order that the town council formally votes to become a member of the Greater Portland Metro Transit Service, and be it further ordered that this order is contingent upon the allocation of 2 board seats for the town of Gorham on the Metro Board of Directors.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Wilder-Cross, there's a second by Councilor LaVoy. Do you want to, we did have a workshop with the Metro Board and talked to them with the GEDC Board, and we had a really good conversation. So I think if the town manager wants to give kind of a high-level overview, Metro is here if we have any questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yep, as the council is aware, and probably some members of the public, the council had a workshop, and one of the items was a discussion with Metro on joining Metro as a member community. We were initially part of the Husky program trial run for 3 years, and it turned into 5 years due to the pandemic, which was great of Metro to continue that as the program rebounded. What you have here before you is basically an action to join Metro. We would be a member community like we are of EcoMaine and some other organizations, and we would have a voice on the board. This would continue the Husky line in Gorham with regards to our municipal stops. There would be contributions by the town of Gorham towards that service. Some questions had been raised in prior to this meeting about what if USM declines the service in the future. That could happen, and the service would have to be evaluated towards the town's financial commitment at that time. As the council is also aware, and I also, going back to USM, I think it's unlikely, but it would more be a conversation of, is USM going to have a service rather than the Husky line? The council discuss, as you bring in transit, so do parking demands, something the town will have to overcome. And it's important to note that transit is a component of the discussion for the main Turnpike's Gorham Connector. It's not just about transporting cars. We have to look at transit zoning, and you'll hear staff talk about the three legs of the stool all the time with regards to that project. So this would make us a member community, continue the Husky line, continue our stops, maybe expand some stops. And the only other item that we discussed at the workshop is joining Metro. We would incur our percentage of debt moving forward. From that point moving forward, Metro doesn't carry a lot of debt, but the council just should be aware of that if we ever wanted to leave the organization. So I'm here to answer any questions, as well as Greg Jordan, the director of Metro. Take it from there.
All right.
Thank you.
Councilor Wilder Cross?
I'll be quick. I think I'm the only card-carrying bus passenger on this council, but I might be wrong about that. Are you a card-carrying? Oh, all right, take that back. And I use the bus. I appreciate the bus. I definitely appreciate the extension going down into the old port. And for me to be able to go to the symphony on Sunday afternoon without bringing my car downtown, it's wonderful. So I'm a firm believer that if we build it, they will come. So I would hate to see this stopped. I think it's an important service for the people of Gorham. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Sims?
I'd add, in addition to it being a critical service for certain residents of our town, it's a smart infrastructure investment for the town as well. And for any of those who might be concerned about the cost, I'd encourage you to consider that every rider that gets on in Gorham and pays the fare reduces the overall cost that the municipality has to pay. So the more we ride it, the less it costs the town. So I encourage everyone to share their suggestions with us for ways we can foster greater ridership amongst the community.
Thank you. Councilor Siegel, go ahead.
Thank you. I have a comment and then a question for the town manager. First, one of the things that is often said to me is, what are we going to do about traffic? It's always traffic. And the bus is a fantastic part of the solution for traffic. Every single person that rides the bus is a car off the road. So if we want to get less cars on the road, less traffic, more people on the bus is a way to do that. I think buses are great. Super glad that we have this opportunity. And now, if I may, a question through you to the town manager. Are we able to use TIF funds for this so we don't have to necessarily impact the taxpayers?
Yes, absolutely. And should the council vote to move forward with joining Metro, I think it's about $170,000-ish initial estimate. That could vary. I would budget and bring to the council using TIF revenues, because it's one of the TIF revenues for the public can only be used on certain items. Transportation and transit is one of those, and obviously benefits our core urban area that has a TIF.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Councilor Gagnon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I was a supporter of the bringing Metro to Gorham about 10 years ago. It took a while for it to be here. A lot has changed since we originally thought of having Metro here. And part of those changes, I think, have created I guess, challenges, particularly challenges that we're going to have to overcome if we adopt the Metro. One of these challenges is USM and their changing of how their parking structure has occurred, where it's taken many parking spaces out of the free domain and now has a, I guess, a challenge parking system where I'm hearing mixed reviews of people getting billed or I guess, fined for parking there. People, even if this didn't pass, could still utilize USM's Husky pickup line. So the misinformation that was out there that if this didn't pass, we would lose the Metro. We, in fact, would have kept the Metro. It just would have had 1 point. 1 point of topic that was brought up at a committee meeting was, does Gorham have a parking problem? And there's a parking study, and it was casually said that Gorham has a walking problem, not necessarily a parking problem. But that study was done before USM took away a lot of its parking areas. The same thing could be said for some of these pickup areas for the USM Metro, where people could walk a little bit more distance to get to USM as opposed to the one that's in front of Hannaford. There's a parking issue that's forming because of USM Metro and would be exacerbated over time, and that's people parking at Hannaford or across the street from Hannaford to take the bus. Because people like me couldn't just walk to get to the bus line. We'd have to drive, otherwise it would take us 45 minutes or plus to get there. There are other options that people live here and utilize the bus to get to their work, as are incented by people from Maine Med. So, and those people live not necessarily in the center of town, but throughout town, and then park in the center of town. And it used to be at USM, and now they park in wherever they can find a parking space to get on. So these are challenges that I think are going to have to be addressed by the town if this is adopted. And I don't look at it as points to not do it. It's that if we're doing it right, and we're addressing these problems as a council, as opposed to letting them fester and saying, well, it is what it is. So if we do not have designated parking areas in the center of town, then we should seek to have designated parking areas in the center of town so that people that want to shop and can walk can do so. So if we are talking about a walkable downtown, adding something that would help with congestion down the road, would help with climate change and other things, can be implemented, and then it's less burdensome to the taxpayer in that manner. So I'll be voting yes today for it, but it's if we're addressing these items and then not necessarily just throwing them to the wayside. So I'm hoping that in the coming year, we start to look at initiatives from the town to problem solve these issues. Because for me, these issues should have already been problem solved by the town, or at least forecasted. But who would have saw USM changing their parking strategy and just jamming up parking for the first month of September when school was in session? So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? 1 nay. Councillor Pratt.
Item 2024-3-6, action to consider rezoning map 8, lot 10 from the Urban Residential Expansion District to the South Gorham Crossroads District. Councillor Phillips sponsored. Proposed order 24-37. Order that the Town Council forwards to the Planning Board for review and public hearing, changing map 8, lot 10 from the Urban Residential Expansion District to the South Gorham Crossroads District.
Was there a motion? Moved by Councilor Lavoie. Is there a second? Councilor Pratt. This is an item that I brought up to the town we've got a memo from a proposed project for the area. And it makes sense to include this based on the project in the South Gorham Crossroads zone. Even though it's along Brackett Road and it does include residential and it's age-restricted project, so it also includes addition to the water line down Brackett Road. So I'm just asking that the council send this to the planning board for their review, and it'll come back to us, correct? Yep, for another vote, just to change the lines in the district, so. Is there any questions? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor? 7 yeas.
Item 2024 3-7, action to consider authorizing the town manager to execute an amendment to the purchase and sales agreement with Core X Complete Maine Propco LLC and clear a portion of map 30 lot 1 as designated on their site plan approval. Councilor Phillips sponsored. Proposed order 2438, order that the town council authorize the town manager to execute an extension of the purchase and sale agreement with Core X Complete Maine Propco LLC until October 1st, 2024. And be it further ordered that the town manager is authorized to execute an agreement that authorizes the buyer to clear sections of this lot prior to April 14th, 2024 to meet the conditions of their environmental approvals.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Pratt, seconded by Councilor Gagnon. I'm going to have the town manager give the overview.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quickly, CoreX is the cold storage facility that'll be going in on Main Street. It's not technically part of the new industrial park, but part of the land that was really originally procured towards the new industrial park. It's been permitted. They're looking for an extension on their purchase and sale agreement, and they also have a window that they have to clear the property. It's not going in and significantly disturbing it or anything like that, but clear the area associated with the construction because of preserving habitat, and that's part of their, I think, DEP permit. So we recommend moving forward with that. It's a 100,000 square foot facility, and excited to have them here in Gorham. And Kevin Jensen's also here to answer any questions, but I can also answer any questions on the facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Wow. All right. Seeing none, all those in favor? 7 yeas.
Item 2023 2-7, action to consider amending home occupation standards in the Land Use and Development Code to increase economic development opportunities. Ordinance Committee sponsored. Proposed order 2439, order that the town council forwards to the planning board for review and public hearing amendments to the Land Use and Development Code creating a village home occupation overlay district and amending home occupation standards as follows. Section 215, home occupation standards. 16, home occupations in the village home occupation overlay district are allowed the following exceptions to the above requirements. The home occupations excluding medical marijuana caregivers shall not utilize more than 50% of the total floor area of the dwelling unit. B, medical marijuana caregivers are required to meet the requirements outlined under Section 14E 1-4 and under Section 15. C, not more than 10 people outside the family shall be employed in the home occupation. And D, the following uses shall be allowed as home occupations as defined in Chapter 1, Section 1, 5, definitions. 1, retail stores under 500 square feet.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor Siegel. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Sims. All right. I don't know if
I can take it.
Yep. Go ahead.
So to the rest of the council and everyone here, this is a continuation of the ordinance committee looking at ways that we can increase economic development in Gorham, and this is making it easier for what are de facto mixed-use buildings, allowing people more flexibility in home occupations so that we can just make it easier for people to start small businesses, which, when successful, become large businesses and become a great part of the tax base. So here's where it all starts.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I just add that I thank the town staff. They did a good job. We had different perspectives at the committee meetings, and I think the town staff did a good job of incorporating all those into the final product of what you got before you today. So,
thank you. Any other comments? Councilor Pratt?
I guess I had a question or a comment. I'm not quite sure what I have at this point. So we talk about home occupation standards. It seems like every 6 months we bring them back up and talk about them and amend the zone and change the zone and move the zone and make the zone a little bigger, right? So why don't we just set standards for home occupation for the town itself? Like, I get the zoning, right, that we're saying in this certain zone we want home occupations because people can walk and do whatever else to them. But at the end of the day, are we stifling ourselves by not just writing some standards for home occupations in all zones? I guess is my question.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. We do have townwide home occupations, or townwide home occupation standards.
Right.
This was done as a small step so that we're not changing the entire town. Didn't want to, we want to scare, and so that's why this was done and kind of focused near the village. In the rest of town, in the rest of Gorham, you can do home occupations, but this is specifically in this area.
No, I get that. I guess what I'm saying is instead of just taking areas every 6 months and expanding them and contracting them and moving them and bouncing them around, why don't we just say the standards are good at this point, I guess is my thought on it, that's all. And maybe I'm wrong. I very well could be. I have been 100 million times before, so.
Yeah, I think the thinking is this area, these specific standards are allowing for a slightly greater, amount of activity than is allowed in the rest of the town, and that the thinking there is just the more central areas of the villages allow for more commercial activity there.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not fighting it. It's more just general question. So, thanks.
Councilor Gagnon, yeah.
I think this was a density push, so it made sense to make some of these changes. I think we had asked, or more specifically, I had asked at the committee for the town to provide information as to what in the past has been developed in ordinances that we've already changed, or what businesses have moved in as a result of said changes to ordinances over the past 10 or 15 years, so we could use as a benchmark of what is or isn't working. Are we getting too much of one thing versus another? Do we really need another bank in the center of town when we have 5? That's a joke, right? But we're still awaiting that information. That information, I think, is pertaining to this particularly. If this is successful, then we'll roll it out further and make more changes that would, that could be adopted. So.
Any other comments, questions? All right. All those in favor? 7 yeas.
Item 2023-10-11, action to consider Main Street sewer impact fees for the purposes of expanding water and sewer availability in the town of Gorham where extensions are possible, ordinance committee sponsored. Proposed order 2440, ordered that the town council forward to the planning board for review and public hearing amendments to the land use and development code that would create a sewer impact fee for parts of Main Street as follows.
Council Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading due to the length.
Okay, is there a second?
Oh, yes.
Second by Councilor Wilder Cross. All those in favor of waiving the reading due to the length? 7 yeas. All right, and is there a motion on the item? By Councilor Siegel, second by Councilor Wilder Cross. All right. Okay. Town manager, take
Thank
it
you,
away.
Madam Chair. So pertaining to the CoreX item that you just approved 2 items ago, as part of that project, and part of the reason that project's being held up a little bit is there are sewer main extensions going down Main Street, which benefits the project, benefits the industrial park on the northern parcels, as well as any other development, whether it's residential, commercial, moving forward along that section of Main Street that I think a lot of people probably assume has sewer under it, but it doesn't. So this will allow us, when it eventually goes through the planning process, to assess an impact fee for connections to that system. Town did this for Fort Hill Road back in the day. I believe maybe sections of Little Falls, that predates me quite a bit, but it's something that we do and plan for as the system comes online to help get part of that, help recoup part of that cost as well as expand the system. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the ordinance committee? No? All right. All those in favor? 7 yeas.
Item 2023-11-15, action to consider forwarding amendments to the Land Use and Development Code to the Planning Board amending one-lot private way provisions, ordinance committee sponsored. Proposed order 24-41, order that the town council forward to the Planning Board for public hearing and recommendation amendments to the Land Use and Development Code replacing one-lot private way provisions with backlot provisions as proposed below.
Council Chair, I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading due to the length.
All right, is there a second? Oh, yeah. Second by Counselor Wilder Cross. All those in favor of waiving the reading? 7 yeas. Is there a motion on the item? Motion by Counselor Siegel and a second by Counselor Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Really simply put, in the town of Gorham, there is no means in our land use code, if you own a one parcel, you have a house on the front of the parcel, you have adequate road frontage, in order to put a home on the back of the parcel, if you want to give it to your kids, if you want to sell it, you have to go through our planning process to approve a private way. What this would do is allow, under certain provisions, the ability to basically put a back lot with access for a driveway. Doesn't mean you get to build a subdivision or anything like that, but you can now access the back of a parcel, split that parcel, and put a house on it. We get this request quite a bit, and under our current zoning, you have to go through the entire planning process and build a private way to a private way standard and get approval from the town. This would create a, I guess, a lower process with standards still in place, but allow for a private driveway.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor? 6 yeas. All those opposed? 1 gaining.
Item 2024-3-8, action to consider instructing the Public Works Department to repaint 2 crosswalks on Ballpark and Access Road to multicolored Pride crosswalks. Councilor Siegel sponsored. Order that the Town Council instruct the staff to facilitate the painting of the crosswalk on Ballpark Ave between Roby Park and the Municipal Center, and the crosswalk on Access Road between the high school and Roby Park with multicolored Pride paint layouts. And be it further ordered that if safety permits, community members to be allowed to participate in the initial painting of the crosswalks.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Counselor Siegel. Is there a second? Second by Counselor Sims. All right. Counselor Siegel, go ahead.
Thank you. So this motion is put ahead of time for June. You know, making sure this can work through so we can this can happen at the beginning of June. I also want to let the councilors know that private citizens have reached out and they're willing to donate the either the funds or the paint itself to make it happen. So this will not be a taxpayer expense. And if there are any further questions, I can answer them. But I think this is a great thing to do for Gorham. Neighboring municipalities have done it as well. And yeah, we should do it too.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, just wondering how those 2 crosswalks were chosen. Just curious.
Yeah, so those 2 were chosen because they are, one, not state roads. Gorham has a lot of state roads. And also, they get actually quite a bit of foot traffic, more than one might expect in the area. And so, you know, going to and from Roby Park. And so it thought seemed to be a good central location with a lot of people, and also safe to do the painting.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Counselor Gagnon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think, one, I would ask the Public Works Director, you know, if everything is in order and they're able to do this safely with public input.
You mean with the public helping?
Yes.
Is that your question?
I can.
Yep. Town manager can answer that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I did have a conversation with the Public Works Director. I think that it's possible. We did not vet out the public participation part, but if I could go back to the managing expectations part, the speech I gave earlier. So this would be different than our traditional approach, which typically follows a standard engineered format for crosswalks. That's the only thing I'd point out as far as the design to the town council. All of our side crosswalks and the painted infrastructure, as the public is aware, it gets painted once a year. It wears out. It happens all over town. Then we have contractors or Public Works repaint them. So there's different concerns with more paint. More paint is more slippery for people crossing. That can be mitigated, but it will wear out over time. It is different than our standard. So when I talked to Councilor Siegel about this item, initially another concern I had with the state roads, they receive federal funding, there's a higher level of standard. We should also apply that standard to municipal roads, but I think there's more wiggle room with municipal roads. So I just wanted to set the expectation that if the council approves this, it won't happen overnight. We will try our best to involve the community in that process. And I just can't guarantee how long it will last. The typical crosswalk has a line or two, and it'll wear out with vehicle traffic. The more paint, the more it's going to discolor over time. So I just want to point that out to the council. We'll do our best with whatever the decision is and move from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Councilor Gagnon?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yep. Councilor Pratt, go ahead.
So I guess for me, right, is we're talking about striping crosswalks for June and then restriping again white to make them crosswalks again, as far as I can tell with this, right? So for me, if we took we've been talking about art, community art, right? If we took an artistic approach to this and said we could have something more permanent near these areas, that we could have artwork up that's made by Gorham High School students, for me, that would feel like more of a community impact to me than putting paint down for a month and then taking paint up again. Now, another topic that I want to bring up, and it's not pleasant, and I don't really want to bring it up, and it's the first time that it's ever happened to me, but after our meeting the other night, basically, Councilor Siegel, you said that you'd publicly destroy anyone who opposes this item.
What?
You did. You did. There was another counselor there. So for me, having an opinion is one thing, right? I'm entitled to an opinion. I'm entitled to my own thoughts. That really stuck with me to the point where I wrote it down when I got home because it stuck with me so much. I don't think that does this item justice, honestly. Like, I think you're doing this for the right reasons, and I'm glad you're very passionate about it. But to say something like that really bothered me, just so you know. And I've always been able to have a conversation with anyone on this council, anyone past or present, and I've always tried to look out for the best interest of the town. So for that to be said, honestly, I'm going to put it on record that it was said because I don't want to be labeled as something that I'm not at the end of this. I think art would be more appropriate for this, just because it doesn't have to be destroyed after it's done, basically. That's my opinion, and that's the way I'll be voting tonight. So, thank you.
So in a discussion with the town manager, my understanding is that, and from what you just said, that it would be, I'm picturing just like it was in Portland, painted in between the white stripes so the crosswalk is still there. And I don't know if we haven't gotten into the details of that, but that would be my assumption. I've seen it several times that there would be paint in between the white stripes maybe, and that can be figured out at a later date, obviously. And it sounds like you're telling me that once this is done once and it wears out, we'd have to readdress it again to repaint it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We haven't got into the specifics with the Public Works Department. I think first and foremost, we would try to make it look as much like a crosswalk, recognize as much like a crosswalk as possible. Maybe that's white lines on the outside or something like that. We haven't talked about those details. My interpretation of the council order would be that unless we are told otherwise, if it's approved, we would not necessarily maintain it all year, but we would continue that in that color scheme until directed to do something different. It just like if the council said we want to see, parking spaces or something like this in a specific area, we would maintain that until we're directed otherwise.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chair Phillips.
Yes, Councilor Siegel, I don't want to get into a back and forth between,
I
back and forth between you and Counselor Pratt, if
want
that's
to-
what's going to happen.
I
So-
want to correct the record here because I also wrote down what I said because I was very surprised, but I did not say that. I want to be very clear that I said, and you were leaving the room at the time, I said, if you try to fight me on it, I will make it a public thing. I did not say destroy. That doesn't even, and I'm sorry if any counselor misheard me, but I can show you, I mean, my own messages that I sent after the meeting debating if I even thought that was too far. But no, I said I'll make it a public thing.
All right, we're going to go back to the item. Counselor Siegel, please.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So is this temporary with the event, or is this something that's permanent? Because I know that the school department typically, for items that are for a group event, right? Usually they're of that time period because I think as Heather Perry in an email to Councilor Siegel had indicated when he was looking to have office hours with Councilor Lavoie, she had indicated that, limitations of what is and isn't allowable for people to have these certain things, because then you have to let everybody have them. And so then you have to have crosswalks of varying means, right? Just as Heather had indicated, once you allow people in and have office hours, you have to allow other people to have office hours. So that's the school stance. And so I'm just making sure that there's a uniformity here of, are we doing a permanent item, or is this in coordination with an event?
Well, what I just heard the town manager say was that until instructed otherwise, they would maintain whatever we put in place. So that's what I just heard the town manager say. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is what I said, but if the council says we want a one-time trial or one time for an event, we're happy to accommodate that too. It's whatever we're instructed to do by the town council.
So, Madam Chair, my concern just becomes, we put up a bunch of different flags on flagpoles throughout the town, or if we did crosswalks, somebody may say they want 4th of July, crosswalks. It just becomes a, competing piece. So I just want to make sure that we're consistent, because we do run into trouble similar to the school of competing interests and it becoming an issue. So I guess I would ask through you to Councilor Siegel, is this just in coordination with the Gorham Pride event, or is this something that's enduring and going to be maintained throughout the year?
The expectation is that it would be painted once and then would, dull over time. And that's what I was just thinking, was just painted once at this time.
Okay. Yeah, no, so my, I guess where I'm kind of going with this piece is MDOT standards for people with disabilities and the ADA requirements. I just want to ensure that people who are colorblind, and they address this in the MDOT standards, and other towns such as Portland use alternating colors with the white, so they're in between the pieces, so that people with those disabilities can see the crosswalks still. So that would be part of that, because we do have a pedestrian law, right? That if somebody's in the crosswalk, somebody has to stop. If somebody who's visually doesn't see colors very well, doesn't see the crosswalk and hits the person, who's at fault? Is the town at fault because we're not following MDOT standards? So I just want to make sure, and we're clear, and I'm just trying to help out here for parameters of what we're looking at. So.
Thank you.
Chair, I think there are members of the public here that specifically want to speak on this item.
You're more than welcome to invite them up. Yep. Yep. If there's anybody here who wants to speak on this, feel free to come up. Yep. Just give us your name for the record, please.
Jody Keene, I'm the president of Gorham Pride.
Oh, can you speak into the mic? Thank you.
There you go.
I'm Jody Keene. I'm the president of Gorham Pride. I apologize, I wasn't planning to say anything tonight. But I do want to clarify some misinformation. There are DOT standards that have been modified to allow for rainbow crosswalks. I did forward that just recently to Councilor Siegel. So it would still be ADA compliant, and we would still be in keeping with those standards. I too thought it was a kind of a one-time thing. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully everybody loves it, and it's something we could consider doing at another time. So just those 2 points of clarification.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mic check. There we go. This is my daughter, Neela. She's my big kid. I also have a smaller one. She left earlier, so that's why I got a little quiet. My name is Gwen McGinnis. I'm a resident of Gorham. I grew up in Maine, so did my husband. I am a licensed healthcare provider. I am a certified case manager. I have been a licensed resource parent for the Department of Health and Human Services. I am the mother of this one and the other little one. My husband is former active duty, and we have lived in many places. We chose to raise our family in Maine, specifically Gorham. Neither of us are from Gorham. We chose Gorham because of its wonderful reputation. I share my background with you and this information. I provided each of you with 7 copies of data from the state of Maine and information from the Trevor Project. I want you to understand the gravity and the impact of supporting such a small gesture of color on a public crosswalk. I have provided, oh, I said that already. The Trevor Project specifically and the state of Maine data, it demonstrates the importance and the need to support our LGBTQ plus youth and the LGBTQ plus members in our community, in particular for national suicide, and our state is among those lists. There has been an increasing volume of hate speech and threatening demonstrations by members of the local community in our school committee meetings, our social media, and at local public events. This is inappropriate, it is unacceptable, and it is very dangerous. As a community, we need to be better. This is not an us versus them scenario. This is about our neighbors, our family, and our friends. A rainbow crosswalk is a small symbol of support that can quite literally change the trajectory of the health and well-being of an individual. No one should feel that they walk alone. We need to support each other and the LGBTQ plus youth and members in our community. The town of Gorham needs this crosswalk. It's as simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I did not plan to speak today, but I will say as someone who is part of the queer community, when I drive around other towns and I see rainbow crosswalks, it tells me that it's a safe space for me, that I am welcome there, and that I am someone who is seen and heard there. And as someone who lives in Gorham and has lived here since I was 11, having those in my town is really important, especially with the protesters that came to the Gorham Pride last year. That was something that was really hard for me. I actually drove around Hannaford again and then parked before deciding to go because I thought I was going to be hurt. And so having those crosswalks is really important to show that you're here for us as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could we have that woman's name, please?
Oh, yeah.
My name's Ellie Sato. Do you need my address as
No,
well?
that's
Okay.
fine.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right.
So, Madam Chair, it does sound like Gorham Pride wants it to be a temporary thing for their event. I'm not opposed to doing it itself. I just want to make sure it's done correctly, right? And so is the proper thing to do to restore it to its accurate piece once it's done, or do we allow it to, remain as is? And I guess that's what I'm looking for clarification on. If it's just for that period, I don't have a problem with it. I just want to make sure that the orders are specific and town manager has clarity on that.
I think where Counselor Siegel said that there's people willing to donate funds for the paint and things like that, I think we can automatically assume it's a one-time thing until, someone makes the request again, I guess.
So I guess, will we be restoring it once it's done? I guess is the question now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the intention would be, we'll put down as permanent as you can get with street paint, crosswalk, and then add the components that are the different colors. I suspect those will wear out quicker, and next year, likely, we'll just, unless it's done again, we'll just repaint a standard crosswalk. So the newer components likely will be more temporary, just given the nature of it, but we'll see how it works and go from there.
Well, I mean, instead of going through the motions of this, I'm fine with it being an annual paint, with this motion. It's just I'm in coordination with the event. I'm just looking for if we're restoring it or not. That way, there's no confusion of the crosswalk. Because if you're telling me you're just going to wait a year to restore the crosswalk, why not just restore it earlier, I guess? But
That's when we usually do our painting, is in the springtime, our street painting, so.
Thank you,
I
Madam
mean,
Chair.
Portland does it that way too, so I'm just looking for, clarity of it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will find the most effective, yet least labor-intensive way for Public Works to do it, so it still remains a crosswalk. I just can't guarantee all the paint will come up, and we're not going to grind it up or anything like that after. So I have faith in our folks at the Public Works Department that they can come up with a solution that'll work for everybody.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor? 6 yeas. All those opposed? Councilor Pratt.
Item 2024-3-9, action to consider incorporating a percentage of affordable housing requirements into the Land Use and Development Code. Councilor Siegel sponsored. Proposed order 2443, order that the Town Council instructs the Ordinance Committee to review adding requirements to the Land Use and Development Code that would require a defined percentage of housing development units to be affordable.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor Siegel. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Sims. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we are long overdue for affordable housing requirement in this town. This is just the first step, of course, sending it to ordinance. I have no specifics for you. I believe we'll just most likely look at neighboring towns, see what's done, and see what might be needed in Gorham. But currently, 0% are affordable right now, right? And so that's 100% unaffordable. So to make this a place where you can actually work here and live here, let's just start making sure affordable housing is built.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Councilor Pratt?
Totally agree with you on that. And when we're looking at the neighboring towns, we need to make sure to look at Portland, and this is not a dig at Portland, but their affordable housing is a hot mess their affordable housing is a hot mess in Portland, so we need to just make sure we focus in on that and improve on where we can, because there's a lot of changes that could be made to make it really work for Gorham. So totally agree with you. Affordable housing needs to be accomplished just in the right way. So absolutely.
I just have a quick question. Were you thinking in terms of individual homes or all multi-family units? I'd like to see some individual homes that are affordable, and determining what's affordable is yet another problem.
Yeah, to answer, I think there's two questions there. The first one was, my first thought was just any percentage of units, so if it's a subdivision or multifamily, just whatever percentage of units then becomes affordable. And the second part, because of the work of the requirements of LD 2003, the town staff have already actually done a lot of legwork on what technically affordable might look like for this area in terms of both owning and rent.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Counselor Gannon?
Yeah, so, thank you, Madam Chair. So Portland has a kicker where you can pay for less, you can pay for less affordable housing, right? So, would you be looking for a similar thing? It would be similar to a density build where people can pay more for more houses in lieu of having more private land tucked away. So is that something you would be looking at? So somebody could come in and say, oh, instead of having 10 houses as affordable or 10 units, I want 3 and I'll pay you $10,000 each.
I think at this point it's just due for a straight requirement, or we make it a very, very, very lopsided payment. I think we just need affordable housing.
Yeah.
No
I didn't know
funds
if a
around,
kicker
yeah.
was going to be included, that's all.
No,
you know.
and we can discuss that at the committee level too, if we need to, yeah.
Any other comments? I don't mind starting the discussion. There are just a lot of moving parts in this one. For me, just defining a percentage, whether it's single-family homes, I mean, there's so many pieces, so it's going to probably be a long discussion. But I don't mind starting the discussion at ordinance. So all those in favor? 7 yeas.
Item 2024 3-10, action to authorize the town to restore the softball baseball diamonds located at Great Falls Rec Field for community use. Councilor Gagnon sponsored. Proposed Order 2444, order that the town authorize Public Works to improve the sand area for each diamond located on site to allow for playable use by April 10th. Be it further ordered that the Little League will be allowed use of the fields with priority given during their season.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor Gagnon. Is there a second?
Oh, no.
Yep, the motion fails.
Oh, my God.
Item 2024 3-11, action to consider writing off bad debt. Finance Committee sponsored. Proposed Order 24-45, order that the Town Council writes off 2 uncollectible bad checks for the sum of $2,457.48 as recommended by the Finance Committee.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, motion by Councilor Wilder Cross and a second by Councilor LaVoy. Town manager, or, okay.
Yeah. Please.
Madam Chair, this is very administrative in nature. The oldest check goes back to 2008, and I think the other one's 2016. We get these from time to time. They go through the process to try to be collected through the state, and we need to get them off the books. Thank you.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? 7 yeas.
Item 2024 3-12, action to consider accepting a quitclaim deed to resolve a tax foreclosure issue for property located off of Brackett Road. Finance Committee sponsored. Proposed Order 2446, order that the Town Council authorizes the Town Manager to accept a quitclaim deed from Luann Littlefield for map 8, lot 22.42 acres located off of Brackett Road to resolve tax-acquired property issues, and be it further ordered that the Town Manager is authorized to require payment of legal fees for the drafting of the quitclaim deed.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor LaVoy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This one is complicated, but I'm going to try to really simplify it. So there was a tax-acquired property. We did not acquire it through the process because there was title issues. Back in the early 2010s, Ms. Littlefield purchased this property as tax acquired from the town. The deed was never recorded. I think it's like 10, 15 years ago. She has since moved, and we keep assessing this property. So we went through a legal process. The attorney recommends, and she's on board with it, quitclaiming it to the town. It's not even a half an acre of basically a swamp off of Brackett Road. It's not buildable. And at that point, once it's deeded back to the town, we could either retain it as wetlands or sell it to an abutting property owner, whatever the council wants. But to clear this entire mess up that's been plaguing us for decades at this point, we recommend accepting a quitclaim deed and providing that she's willing to pay for the legal work, which I know she is.
Okay. Any questions? All right, all those in favor? 7 yeas.
Item 2024, 3-13, action to consider authorizing a June 11th, 2024 referendum question to authorize the ordering and eventual purchase of a new fire engine for the Gorham Fire Department. Councilor Phillips sponsored. Proposed Order 2447, order that the Town Council authorizes a referendum question for June 11th, 2024 election to authorize the order and eventual purchase of the fire engine by the Gorham Fire Department in the amount of $875,000.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor Lavoy. Is there a second? By Councilor Wilder Cross. We did get a memo from the fire chief, and he's here, but I'm gonna let the town manager talk about it. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think as the council's aware, several months ago, maybe even half a year ago now, our oldest fire engine, a 96, that was past its replacement schedule. We try to get as much life as we can out of these things. The frame cracked basically in half. That has since been sold, probably for scrap. And the fire department's been using a spare from another municipality. The fire department was initially looking for 2 apparatus. I've trimmed it down to 1 for right now. The reason we are asking the council for a June referendum question is twofold. 1, it's over $500,000 in change for 1 capital item, so it has to go to the voters. 2 is now taking a year and a half, 2 years to 4 years to get delivery of a fire apparatus. So we wanted to get the approval from the voters sooner rather than later, so the truck could be ordered. And as written, I am proposing to budget for this 1 apparatus in this coming year's budget. And we wouldn't even pay for it likely for a year, 2, 3 years down the road. So that being said, we just wanted to start that process. The fire department had requested this last year, but as the council and the public is aware, we were going through a school process at that time, and not that the fire department should sit, behind anybody else, but we were aware and wanted to take into consideration the concerns of the public over school spending and municipal spending at that time. So we're asking for permission to put it before the voters on June 11th and just get permission to have a project that will go through the council approval project over $500,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the town manager or the chief? Councilor Wilder Cross?
I can't believe I'm asking these questions. I think in 5 years I've asked 5 questions. So this $875,000, if the truck isn't delivered until 2 years from now, will that price hold, or are we going to be looking at $1 million purchase?
Excellent question, thank you. We believe that this number should hold. Manufacturers will not hold the pricing, but departments are purchasing engines in the $700-ish thousand, high $700,000 range right now. The chief has spoken to manufacturers, and unfortunately they have us, so we have to take their information as the budgeting factor. But we've talked to various manufacturers, and we think that this number will work a year, 2, 3 years down the road. Okay. The unfortunate thing is post-fire apparatus, ambulances are always expensive, dump trucks. Post-pandemic, they're through the roof. It's ridiculous. An ambulance is about $400-ish thousand. 3-4 years ago, we purchased one for just under $250,000, which by itself is ridiculous. So something that we will be evaluating moving forward in all departments is the need for purchases, the need for X amount of apparatus, dump trucks, pick on the other department head here, or school buses, whatever that is in the rec department. So part of the reason we're looking at it right now. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor? 6 yeas, all those opposed? 1 nay, Gagnon.
Item 2024, 3-14, action to consider appointing an Economic Development Strategic Plan Steering Committee. Councilor Phillips sponsored. Proposed Order 2448, order that the Town Council appoints the following individuals to an Economic Development Strategic Plan Steering Committee as follows. Todd Chase, GEDC member. Dan Nichols, GEDC member. Business owner Tim Haynes for Sebago Brewing. Business owner Nancy Ames from Sullivan House Bakery. Gorham Village Alliance member David Willis, Willis Real Estate, Planning Board member to be determined, and Gorham resident Joe Capuzzo from Capuzzo Floor Covering. Be it further ordered, the town council appoints counselor
We'll fill that in a minute.
and counselor to the committee.
Motion by Counselor Sims. Is there a second? By Counselor Pratt. So I know it says that I put forward this item. Obviously, Kevin Jensen, the town manager, and Tom Poirier have been talking about this. And there's been a lot of talk about how to get this plan started. And I think that in various conversations with town staff and other counselors, I think that this is something we want to move forward quickly. And there's two parts to this. I think there's an RFP process that needs to be taken care of, to go through the RFPs and interview the potential consultants. And then there's also the process that's going to happen where the consultant that we choose, which will come back to the council to choose, then there is the execution of this whole plan of this. So in conversations, I'm just putting this out there right now for the council to think about. My idea was that this is the group that does the RFPs and the interviews, and they bring back to the council and make recommendations of who we should choose. And then after that, my recommendation would be that instead of trying to have a committee meet all the time, or even, we have so many committees going now, I figured if this was actually sent to our Capital Improvement Economic Development Committee, and those members actually would be, Councillor Wilder Cross is on there, Councillor Gagnon, and Councillor Sims. If the consultant then met with our Economic Development Committee as well as staff, and then they move through the process. We can always have input from the GEDC members, can be invited to those meetings. The business owners can be invited that are on this list, but I just thought it might move the process along faster because it's a lot of the consultant going away and doing a lot of this work. So I'm not sure if that's something the council would entertain, or if the council wants the same group to look at the RFPs and then move through the process with the whole entire plan. So they're just my thoughts. I just thought I'd throw that out there. So I'm not changing anything. But I would recommend, if we are picking just two counselors, Councillor Gagnon and Councillor Sims. So, any other comments? I didn't mean to just blat that out there, but go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to emphasize, I think the importance of this document, and you're right, we need to select a consultant. We need to give that consultant guidance, general guidance, and then unleash that consultant to do the work. But part of the reason the importance of the timing is as the town moves forward with its next comprehensive plan, which will take a couple years, likely in a year or two, depending on when we start that process, we need to kind of have some information on where that growth, where that zoning, where that economic development needs to happen in Gorham. This could be a guiding document. And I think hence why the council put this as #1 priority, followed by the comp plan later. Thank you.
Councillor Pratt?
I guess as a general question, where you said you'd recommend Councillor Gagnon and Sims, would they accept it if, where they were recommended?
I just put in my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I was just thinking further
If
down.
nominated, I won't run, is that what?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm asking.
I
you
won't
know?
serve?
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do it. I do, and I think, it's a balance of wanting to try to empower the staff to move this thing forward in a timely manner, but also, of course, we want to make sure we're getting the input from these individuals in the community that have expressed desire to do so. Obviously, we need to remain accountable to the council. The Standing Economic Development and Capital Improvements Committee seems like a reasonable place to, let's try to utilize that time if we can, and just keep things moving forward in a timely fashion.
Madam Chair, I agree with Councillor Sims that this is yet just another one-off committee when we have an Economic Development Committee that meets monthly. So, as I think it's almost a year since we voted on this item to take it and do a survey and then get the funding through the budget. I think that inviting these people to the committee is a far better use of time than creating and rehashing a separate meeting that has to be managed and everything else. So I'd combine it with SIPs. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, does that need to be, do we need to alter the wording in
That's what I
some
was just
way?
going to ask the town manager, because, I mean, we can make this, I think, the RFP committee that looks at, you know, the steering committee for the RFPs, maybe to get that input, and then send it to the Economic Development SIPs committee.
Thank you. I don't know if you need to amend anything. We've received that clear direction on, myself and Kevin, on how you want to move forward with that. And sounds like this group, RFP, interview consultants, provide some input, get the process moving, and then we'll kick it over to the Capital Improvements Committee, Economic Development Committee.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
So moved?
Yeah, I think we're good. All right, so we don't need to alter it. You're good? Okay. All right, any other comments or questions? All right, all those in favor? 7 yeas.
Item 2024 3-15, action to consider entering into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056C. Proposed Order 2449, order that the Town Council enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056C for discussion or consideration of the condition, acquisition, or the use of real or personal property permanently attached to real property or interest therein, or disposition of publicly held property or economic development only if premature disclosures of the information would prejudice the competitive or bargaining position of the body or agency.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor Lavoy. Is there a second? Councilor Gagnon. All those in favor of going into executive session? 7 yeas. And just a reminder to the public, we won't be coming back live on TV when we come out of executive session, and we won't be taking any votes. Thank you.